What's going on, chess friends? It's Rafi Chaudhary here, and today I've started another game here on Lee Chess, and it is a 25-minute game, and we're playing a player rated roughly around 2050, and we've started the game now with a London system from white, seems like, and then a response of a King's Indian or a Perk type of defense from black from my side. So we're going to go ahead and get castled up. And then standard idea here is to play d6 and e5 and c5 at some points in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and start with maybe d6. I really would like to challenge this bishop ideally with knight h5 and knight h4, but I think now if I play this, he'll play bishop g5. If I play h6, he'll play here. If I play here, he'll play here. And if I take, he'll take. And he may start tagging me down this h-file. Also in this video, I wanted to address a question. People ask, especially non-chess players ask, can chess pieces jump? The answer to that question is yes, they can jump. The knight, for example, can jump. As you saw in the beginning of the game, I jumped my knight from this g8 square to the f6 square. So it moves in an L shape like this. So two squares in one direction and one square over. So yeah, in chess, the only piece that can jump is the knight. The pawns can make captures, but it's not like a jump in checkers. It just goes into the square the other pawn was in. It doesn't jump over it or anything like that. The only piece that can jump is the knight, which can jump in an L shape. So after this c3, I might play now maybe knight c6 followed by e5. Although I'm a little concerned if I play knight c6, he plays d5, then what happens? I guess I probably shouldn't worry about that too much because I can always bring my knight back and play a5. And his d5 pawn, I think, in these lines will be a little bit overextended. So if I play e5 now, he takes, I take, he takes with the knight, I take, he takes with the bishop, and I don't think I'm getting anything out of that. If I want to now, I can play knight h5, bishop g5, h6, bishop h5, g5, bishop g3, takes, he takes. And e3 does become kind of a weakness. Then I can play e5. Kind of like the idea. Let's go for it. Let's go ahead and put a question to this bishop right away and ask him where he wants to go. So yeah, he does as we were thinking. And I believe in this kind of opening, I should not be scared to play these pawn pushes because typically King's Indian players want to start pushing these pawns anyway. So if he's bringing the bishop out early like that, I think I feel pretty confident that I can go ahead and attack him. Now that's an interesting move right there. He puts a counter question to my bishop, to my knight on h5, which is an interesting move actually. If I take his bishop, he'll take my knight. I could go for that exchange, honestly. It's not a bad exchange to take the bishop on g5, open up my h file, he gets my knight. Or I could retreat my knight back to f6, plays bishop h4. Let's go for that, actually. I don't know. I don't like the idea of knight e4 though. This g5 might become a weakness. Hmm. Thinking whether I can play. What should I do? What should I go with? If I take on g5, I'm gonna play a little bit of quieter move. I'm just gonna retreat the knight back. I don't want to go into those complications where I end up having kind of a weak pawn on g5 where I have to play f6 try to protect it because knight e4 is coming. So let's just play this normally, and let's just not mess up our pawn structure just yet. Now we could play e5. Certainly not afraid of these kind of advances on the king side in the king's Indian. That's basically what the whole idea of this opening is to go for those king side attacks. So if he takes on e5, I take back with, I guess, my d pawn in this case. It's possible to take with a knight, but I think we're just giving up some central control if we do that, because he's going to get the d4 square for his pieces. If he plays d5, I would be very happy to play knight e7, followed by maybe g5, knight e8, and f5, where I have this kingside pawn storm coming at him. Okay, well that's a good move actually. So he's attacking on f6 right away, and now here I could play g5 and force him to exchange on f5 or f6 rather. It's definitely a possibility. Kind of like the idea actually. If I play g5, he takes on f6. I take back with my bishop. He plays bishop g3, play bishop g7. He takes, I take. We trade a bunch of pieces down. Otherwise, I have to deal with this annoying pin, and I'm not too keen on on this pin being there. 1 second. All right. Hmm. Lots of ideas and options here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna like this g5 move the most. I think it makes the most logical sense here. So now, do I take with the queen or the bishop? I think I want to go with the bishop. And I guess I could play bishop g7. If he takes on e5, I take back with the d pawn. We trade queens. My rook's on e8 now. I feel like I would be okay in those positions. And if he doesn't take, I'll play f5. And if he plays d5, I play knight e7, and I'm happy in those positions as well. So he played knight b to d2 very quickly. Let's see. So I could play f5 here and get a bunch of space. I am really weakening these light squares a lot in my position, but so after f5 he plays f4. I take, he takes. And I could play g4, but I'm really extending myself quite a bit in those positions. I could also work on getting my bishop in here first on this diagonal here, but I don't think I would want that. I want my bishop to be on this diagonal because I'm attacking on this side of the board right now. I could also play g4 any moment and actually totally close the structure down. I feel like f5 just makes a lot of sense. I'm going to go ahead and play this move. Natural looking move f5. Threatening f4, of course. So how many games has this guy played? Played 8 games so far. He's only lost 1 game. It's been a bunch of 1800s. Okay, not bad. So he plays h3, which I think is a slightly inferior move because now he's going to make this target for my bishop to h3 sacrifice any day. And also it allows me to get in this move f4 and totally shuts out his bishop for a long time to come. But again, I do give him the e4 square, so I have to be careful with that also, giving him these squares. But I'm pretty happy about my prospects on this h3 square. I think I want to take with this e-pawn. Actually, hold on. There's some ideas that I can take with the g-pawn and put my queen on g4 with an attack on h3 coming soon. Definitely an idea. That's worth considering. But I don't know if I want to give myself a permanent weakness on the king side with the pawn on h6 being isolated. So let's go the more natural route. Yeah, let's go this way, keeping our pawn structure intact. Now we have a lot of weaknesses here, and I am very afraid that something is going to pop up here. Already, there's some weaknesses on the light squares that I can see. I am kind of afraid of that, to be honest with you. And I think this actually loses a piece. Because now I can play d5, and if he captures, if he moves his bishop, I take, yeah, I definitely am winning a piece now. So I think he might play something like bishop b3 maybe in this position. I don't know. He might take on d5, put his other bishop on h2. He might play queen b3. If he plays queen b3, I guess I would just take. Well, I could play bishop e6 if he plays queen b3. No, I couldn't because my b pawn is hanging. I would probably just take the bishop. Plays queen takes c4 check. Play king h8. He'd probably move his other bishop. And we have a piece for a pawn. It's I would not say it's enough to necessarily say that one game is already won, but it's significant enough advantage to where I feel like if I played accurately and maintain my advantage, I feel like I could pull out a win just from that kind of advantage. So yeah, going back to the question of the knights, yeah, knights can jump in chess. So you can move the knight here. So it's 1, 2, and over. So it's 2 squares in one direction and then 1 square over always. So this knight can move to this square right here. So 1, 2, and over. So it's 2 squares in one direction and 1 square over, and lands from this square to that square. 1, 2, and over. So it goes like this. And like this. So let's draw all these arrows again. So this knight can go to any of these squares. And then also here. And also here. So 8 different squares this one knight can go to right now. So anywhere where you see a arrow circle is all the squares this knight can potentially go to right now. Okay, so he decides to save that bishop. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this one on g3. Because I don't see exactly what he can do to me on these light squares. I mean, definitely a lot of weaknesses here for me, but I don't believe that he has any attacking chances necessarily either. And now I'm thinking maybe I can trade queens and offer him another queen trade with queen to f6. I'm also looking at queen d6, hitting this pawn here. I'm thinking also about trading, then playing queen d6. I think the most principled approach might just be to trade queens and play queen f6. Maybe not. Maybe I should just develop make normal natural moves. Maybe bishop d7 makes the most sense. But then d5 is a kind of an issue here. Let's go ahead and trade queens off. So if after queen f6 here, I kind of have another threat to some extent. I have this idea of playing knight takes d4, and if he takes here, I can take with the queen, and I'm checking, and I'm going to pick up the bishop next move also. Okay, so if he plays that, I can't go for this trick right now because this queen is defending the bishop. I can't play bishop f5 because he'll play rook f1. And actually, wait, if he plays rook f1, I can take the bishop. Takes my queen, I take his queen. Rook f1 takes here. If he takes with the queen, I can always move my queen. So yeah, let's go do that actually. I like that move. And if he plays queen somewhere to defend, pin the bishop, then I'm just going to take his his bishop anyway. I have to make sure there's no checks. There is a check on e6, but my queen's guarding e6. So I would be able to pop my queen in once. Like for example, if I take here, he can play this, try to play this in between check, but he can't because I'm guarding on that square. So I'm going to go ahead and just capture back. He attacks us again very aggressively. Actually, he's playing very fast. And I'm going to go ahead and put my queen on e6 with the idea of playing rook to e8 next move. Oh, wait, there's queen b5 here. It's quite an annoying move, actually. With that in mind, maybe I should play queen to d7. Is queen c2 an idea? No, because he's getting this checks on e6, and I don't know if I like that too much. So let's play this queen to d7. If he plays queen b5, then I think we should be able to maybe play something like rook to b8, and with a6 coming next move. And I think we're holding everything together pretty solidly. I may play the move a6 in anyway next move, just to keep that whole idea of the queen penetration on the queen side completely closed. So what could he do now? If we were white, what would we try to do? b4. Wow, what an aggressive move. He wants to play b5, knock off my knight, just start attacking. Not a bad plan. I was going to play a6 last move, but now, I mean... I don't want his knight to get in here either. That's another idea that he has. Let's go ahead and get our rook activated first. And start creating some threats of our own. Maybe we'll play queen d6 with queen to g3 as a threat. We still have this whole knight takes d4, knight takes b4 type of ideas, but they don't really work exactly. I need my queen to be guarding, attacking d4 for those kind of ideas to work. Now, if he plays queen b5 here, which is what I'm expecting, oh, he didn't play that. Okay, so now I'm thinking maybe rerouting the knight somehow. Better yet, let's go ahead and get this queen traded off. I'm threatening queen e3 check, forcing a queen trade. If he plays queen b5 here, actually he's losing his knight after check. Actually, he can play... Well, he can't because... well, let's see. Queen b5, rook e3, rook f2, rook queen e1, knight f1. I don't know what that leads to. Interesting positions for sure. Here I will offer him a queen trade. If he plays queen c2, then I really think he's kind of getting his pieces into squares that I don't think he would want to be honest with you. I mean, his pieces are looking really, really passive if he has to play queen c1, queen c2, I mean. He should probably trade, but that leads also to a hopelessly lost position. He's down a piece, and I'm attacking c3, and everything is just super passive. So he sacrifices a knight, but he attacks my rook. Interesting. That was a good move, actually. I didn't consider that. Could I play here? It should be okay. Now his knight is coming into f3 and to e5, but I think if he comes into e5, I'm just taking it on e5 any moment. But he does have the b5 idea again, kicking off my knight from this beautiful square on c6. So I may play a6 at some point very soon, shortly here. Thing is that despite being down a piece, he is playing with some aggression. He does have some solid ideas in the position, that's for sure. Trying to think still of how I can force some sort of a queen trade here. Actually, I can play queen e4 now. I believe that definitely forces a trade. How's he stopping me from? Oh, he has queen h5 still. But then again, he's putting his queen in an awkward square. Then I don't think he wants to do that. So let's go ahead and offer him this trade here. To be careful about these rook e1 moves any second. Pinning my queen to the rook. But I think for the time being, it's not really a threat. I have an idea of playing king h7 next move, actually. Oh, wait, that runs into this devastating check. Never mind. I do have to start playing a little bit faster because time-wise, I'm so far behind right now. Okay, so now his attacks are really starting to form. I see. Where do I want my knight placed right now? c4, I guess. Gives me the most possibilities. But ideally, I want it on e4. But from c4, I can go into e4 via d6 and then to e4. Good thing that I always have this bishop takes e5 move if he ever puts the knight there. If he does that, then I will definitely trade now. Something is definitely getting traded now for a fact. I don't see how he can hold on to everything now. Something has to go. And the more trades that happen, the more pronounced my material advantage is going to become in this position. And I think that's only going to be helping me as long as I can keep my position intact. Which is the main thing what I'm trying to do is just not make sure that he doesn't cause any kind of weaknesses in my position. He has a very active position, honestly. Considering he's down a piece, he's been playing very, very well and active since he lost his first, since he lost that bishop earlier. Okay, if he does that, I will go ahead and take here first. Get rid of this dude. Yeah, he definitely has some checks down here now. So I'm trying to think of the most centralized move I can play right now. Maybe just king here. And then I'm playing knight c4 next move. And ideally, I want to make headway into the position by playing knight to c4, knight to e3, queen to f2, and get my pieces in that way. So he wants to come into this square. Let's go ahead and take away this square from him. And if he goes into b4, I think he's just misplacing his knight in a part of the game, uh, board where I don't think it will be that effective. I'm gonna go ahead and take that one. Opening lines towards his king should help us. Gonna go ahead and get our knight into the game now also. What's his idea here? Okay, I see. Let's go ahead and put a question to this king. I mean this queen. I'm expecting maybe queen g4 here, and I will play knight e3. Despite being up this bishop, honestly, I haven't been able to get as smooth of a position as I would hope by now. And that's thanks to his very beautiful game here. He's been playing very well. Oh, that's pins our knight. We don't want that to happen right now. Let's put this piece back to where it was. I want to play bishop g5 and trade off the bishop for the knight. If possible. He might not let me do that though. Okay, so now maybe this move. Oof. I definitely didn't see that check. This is looking really scary now. But at least some lines are getting open near his king, which is what I'm looking for right now. He's pushing some pawns, and I want to uncoordinate his pieces. Get his pieces a little bit uncoordinated so we can. I want to play knight d6 and knight e5 actually, knight e4. That plugs up the whole light square holes to some extent. And now his knight is a little bit awkwardly placed, I think. So low on time, though. That's my problem. Got 2 minutes left to pull out a solid victory here. Interesting idea again. Go ahead and block that hole. If he lets me, I might just take the pawn, to be honest with you. I think I can take the pawn. What I love about my position now is that his knight is kind of out of the game for good, for some time. I have to make sure that I don't mess up with my queen. My queen needs to be over here somewhere. It cannot move anywhere. We could lose the game very quickly if we move the queen. My goal is to just pick up a couple of these pawns and just start running my pawns, my queenside pawns. Should be hopefully a winning idea if I can do that effectively. Let's go ahead and almost made a small mistake there. It was a good move actually. The move he just played. So knight f4 is coming now. I could also just, honestly, I could just make a passed pawn because now he doesn't have any play anymore. I could just literally just run these pawns at this point. Actually, bishop f4 check wins. Yeah, that should be winning. So he has to pretty much play g3 right now. Okay, he does that. Maybe now knight f4. No, let's not do all that. Let's go ahead and improve our positions. Just slow and steady. No rush. There is a rush, of course, time pressure rush, but positionally, we don't need to rush into anything right now. I think we can just slowly improve this position. As soon as he moves his knight or anything like that, we're going to give him a check, and we're taking over these dark squares right away. Right now, my goal is just to push these two pawns and create a passed pawn. So I'm basically creating so many threats that he cannot keep up with potentially all of the threats at the same time. Because kingside, he's got it pretty well defended with his queen and bishop, or queen and knight. I don't have enough attacking power right now to go for an immediate checkmate without him coming in and giving me these perpetual checks down here. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on creating another weakness here, the principle of two weaknesses, which basically says that if you can create multiple, now I might, yes, I believe I will trade a pair of pieces. I am expecting him to take here. Gives a check. Looking at all the possible checks. So I want to keep my king on a dark square if possible so that I can block these checks as they come. Oh crap, he's taking one of our pawns. Hopefully there's some sort of checkmate here. Really hoping so. Now we can at least win the queen, I believe. Let's just do it the simple way. Let's not complicate it. I don't know if there was a win. I think there was a pattern, some sort of win there, but let's just keep it simple. Okay, so yeah, I think we did. I didn't have enough time to calculate it, but I think after this move here, I could have played. Let's analyze. I think I could have played here. That's mate. Again, time pressure. I have got a minute, and I know for sure if I can grab this queen, I can pre-move the next foreseeable future. Everything is super easy, so why go for that risk when I have a more practical way of just ending this game right there and then. So let's go ahead and analyze this game. Let's look request computer analysis also. And just kind of see some of the things that we could have done better, maybe. Some places where we might have gone wrong. How our opponent could have done better. So d4, standard move, knight f6, played bishop e3, which is kind of like the London system typically. So I played here g6. I typically play the King's Indian defense against d4 opening nowadays. So I went ahead and just stuck with my natural sequence of moves, which is g6, which is actually, according to the database here, the most commonly played move. So he plays e3, play bishop g7, plays knight f3, played castle, bishop e2, b6, c3. Yeah, knight. Okay, knight b to d7 is a more common idea here. c5 is an idea as well. Game between Karpov and Gelfand. Strong grandmasters have played this line before. Interesting. So knight c6 has been played before as well by some pretty strong grandmasters and some masters. He castles. Queen e8, rook e8 were the main two moves, but I played this. And I like my move, honestly, because I think it just directly puts pressure and question to the king, the bishop. And computer's suggestion is actually knight h5 also, interestingly, even though there's no games with this move. I think it directly puts a question to the king, the bishop, and right away challenges that bishop's target square. And again, like I was saying during the game, I think it's okay for black to move some of these pawns in the king side early on in these kind of positions, because ultimately he's going for a king side attack anyway, especially with the bishop lined up and everything like that. So everything is kind of shifting in this direction. So moves like h5, f5, e5, g5, g4, h4, h5, h3 all kind of make sense in this opening. 3 inaccuracies, 1 mistake, 2 blunders from me. Okay. Plays the knight h5, plays bishop g6, h6. And this was an interesting move, actually, knight d2. I want to say I wasn't exactly expecting this move. And according to the computer, I have a huge advantage, and that's a blunder. We both missed something, and what did we miss is my question. So he takes here, then what? Wait a second. Oh my gosh. What a mistake. I won a piece because he just left his piece hanging. And my knight on h5 was protected by g6. What was I thinking? Wow. I don't know what kind of mistake that was on my part, but that's just unbelievable. Like, what? How did I miss that? It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, I could have just taken this bishop. He takes here and I take back, and I'm just up a piece. Anyway, totally missed the win. So, anyway, so this is why we should be looking at every game extremely carefully and seeing, like, what the possible captures and checks and things like that are in the position. Always be looking for those things. So he plays bishop to h5, h4, and then we played e5. g5 was an option as well, but I think e5 is probably not bad either, and computer doesn't disagree. So plays knight e4. Now I play g5, he takes. I take with the bishop. d3, g7, knight d2, and I played f5. Here is where he made his other blunder. No, he did not yet. He played h3 first. And I think I played, what did I play here? f4, I think. Yeah, bishop e6. I looked at that move as well. I was a little bit concerned of moving the bishop out too early onto e6, and I don't think the bishop does a whole lot. I mean, it does, of course. I mean, it does let the other rook out, but I think I wanted to slowly develop my pieces. But I want to shut in that bishop first, so I played f4. Took. If you're only taking, he's worse. Yeah, makes sense because he locks in his bishop. And computer likes g takes f4 a lot more, and I think it's because of the, oh, it wins a pawn. That's what it is. That's what it is. So yeah, so if you take here, so he plays this, take here, and if he takes back, you're just winning a pawn. Just simple central pawn. Didn't calculate that. Should have calculated this deeper. Now here he's just lost. Just lost a piece. And then rook takes f1 check is what I played, but let's see. Computer saying that bishop e6 is good. I mean, rook takes f1 is not bad actually, so it's close enough. Yeah, rook takes f1 is a fine move here to play. Plays queen takes f1. Now I played queen to f6, which is the best move. Queen e2. I believe I played bishop f5 here. Bishop d7 was also possible. I think bishop f5 is a lot more forcing. Just forces more trades and makes things simpler. He took, I took. Played rook there. And yeah, see, the computer is not scared of moves like queen c2 and queen e6 check at all, because it calculates that there's not really anything that's happening after the king h8. Like, what does he really attack? I've got too many attacks on him. But from a practical standpoint, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could have played that and I could have been a little bit more active, but I just wanted to play it safe and not allow any sort of counterplay with any kind of checks or queen becoming active, any of that. So I played I mean, in my opinion, I can see it's like the second choice from computer also. I think the move that I played is perfectly fine in a position like this. That's already won. You just don't want to complicate anything. Play queen d7, e4. Now I'm trying to basically trade pieces whenever I can, so I played rook to e8. He plays well here. Queen b3. And I played, what did I play here? Queen e6 is what I played. Computer actually does find queen e6 at some point as its fifth choice. It likes g4 more. Okay. Well, queen e6. We went with. He plays king to h2. And now here I played queen e3. Which I think is fine. Knight d8 was possible. Queen e2 was possible. Okay. Queen e3. Queen g6. Rook e7. He plays knight to b3. No, he played knight to f3 actually. Best move is queen e4. Queen h5 is what he played. Computer does find queen x3. It likes queen d3 a lot more actually. I can see why. Just trying to get the rook into the game also with rook e2. But again, I didn't like the idea of him coming in with his queen, and I don't know. I didn't want to allow any kind of checks down here. Computer might find lines where it allows these checks to happen because I can hide from them, but I don't know if I would like to allow those kind of things. I don't know if that was the idea after queen e2, maybe, or sorry, queen d3. I would imagine the idea might be to hit the rook and also try to swing this rook in here as well. But I guess you can say the rook is guarding this e8 square, and it would be an improved position for the rook for sure. So yeah, it makes sense. So I actually played queen back to e6. Is this e5 move? Knight a5 is what I played. Queen e2 is better. Okay, I see why. Attacks the rook and it's counterattack, more aggressive than defending. But knight a5 I think is fine too. Now he plays rook e1. Played queen f7, which is the best move. He plays queen g4. Takes e1. Knight takes e1. And king h7. Okay, so I did find the best moves here, so it's very good now. Second choice is king h7. Knight c4 is strong as well. I was considering that during the game, remember. So after king h7, knight to d3. He played. And I didn't want his knight to come into c5. Although I think if he did go to c5, I think it just helps me, if anything, because his knight is kind of out of play. But I went ahead and just took away that option altogether. So yeah, b6 computer does find that as well. It's a move. So he played h4. Yeah, h4 here. I just took it, which is the best move. Yeah, makes sense. Opening lines. Plays queen takes h4. It was an inaccuracy. Yeah, it makes sense why it's an inaccuracy, because you're just keeping your you had a chance to fix your pawn structure and you didn't, and you took with the king and queen. And I think he probably did that to keep his lines more close, but I don't have any ways to really attack him yet on these dark squares, so it would make sense for him to fix his pawn structure. Play knight c4. He plays knight to f4, I think. And then I played bishop to f6. He played queen g4. Now I played knight e3, which is a mistake. Why is it a mistake? I don't know. It's probably because somehow my knight's getting... Yeah, that's what it is. Queen f3, it double attacks the pawn and the knight, and if I move the knight back to c4, he could just take the pawn. So he's actually winning the d5 pawn is what it is. Okay, still winning, but I just lost a pawn for nothing. Definitely did not see that continuation also either during the game. But he plays this instead, and here I played... what did I do? I played knight back to c4, okay. Again, he has the same idea, queen f3 idea, that just loses the d4 d5 pawn actually. And I didn't really calculate this at all during the game. I didn't even think about that as a major weakness like that, and I have no way of defending it. So yeah, definitely a mistake. I get it. I see why. Check. And then I played king to g7, and he played g4, which is a mistake again. Apparently, I could have played bishop e5 here. Wow. Oh wow, yeah, because it's pinned, and if he takes my bishop, I take his knight with f4 check, and then I pick up the pawn on e5 as well. Did not see that at all in the game. If I had more time, maybe I would have found this tactic, of course. But with 3 minutes on the clock, I'm not taking that kind of risky moves or looking for those kind of risky moves. I'm trying to consolidate the position and just simply simplify the thing. You keep it simple and just win the game. I play this move instead. He checks. I didn't miss that check, by the way. I didn't really see how dangerous that check could potentially have been. Didn't calculate all those variations. I played king to here, queen to here, queen g3, knight d6, queen e5, took the free pawn, c4, knight c3, best move. He took back with the knight. Plays queen e4, and here I started just running my queenside pawn, so actually I did play the best move according to the computer, a5. Yep, right idea. King h3. Apparently knight f4 check is not the best way to go about here, so I guess yeah, in the game I was thinking about like whether I should maybe just keep running my queenside pawns, or should I trade knights, but I thought, why not trade a pair of knights? I mean, I thought maybe it would just be harder for him to defend this attack. So with the bishop, it gives me a check, but I hide from all the checks by going in the dark square. I totally ignore his whole idea of the queen, and I just went to and played b5, just continuing my expansion on the queen side, trying to create a passed pawn. He plays g3, but here I think he starts making a lot of headways into his king for me. So he's opening up too many lines, I think, after that move. I play bishop g5. Gives me a check. Bishop f6 simply stops all those checks and starts attacking all his pawns. He took here. I took on d4. He took on a5, and that's when he resigned. He lost the game because I'm giving a deadly check now. And it's going to be checkmate next move. Either in checkmate in 1 or 2. But remember, like I was saying in the game, that I did see this checkmate, of course, after king here. I didn't see it, but I would have seen it if I had a little more time. But with a minute left on the clock, I didn't want to take any risks, so I went ahead and just went the easy route, picked off the queen, and would have followed up with mate soon after. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think and what type of videos you'd like to see in the future. Going back to our initial question, a lot of beginner chess players, new chess players may want to ask, or non-chess players may ask, can chess pieces jump? The only chess piece that can jump is the knight, and it moves in an L shape, and that's the only piece that can jump in chess. Thank you guys again for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next video.